We're sharing 3 secrets to mastering puff pastry, the light, flaky dough with an incredible versatility from sweets like apple turnovers to savory dishes like beef Wellington. By the end of this video, you'll be able to apply cold, rolling, and folding techniques with a fabulous French recipe, the tarte tatin. The first secret to puff pastry is cold. Stay tuned, I'll share why cold is so important. So let's begin by mixing our flour and salt. Rub the cold, refrigerated butter into the flour with our fingertips until they are pea-sized. Our fingertips are the coolest part of our hand, and we want to prevent the butter from melting. Next, gradually add ice-cold water to the mixture and form a dough. Again, the cold water keeps the butter whole rather than being absorbed. This recipe is quick and easy and gives similar results to traditional puff pastry recipes without the hours of labor. Knead until the dough comes together, but is still cool. Don't knead the dough for too long, since we don't want to encourage too much gluten development. The dough will get worked plenty during the 3 turns. Like, if there's too much gluten, I think it just gets tough. Another cold secret is to chill our counters. I love these cold packs. Chilling the counter buys time by keeping the dough cool while kneading and rolling dough. Another cooling tip is to grate with frozen butter. Using chilled grated butter speeds up the lamination process by adding fine pieces of butter in between the sheets of dough. Once grated, return the butter to the freezer till needed. Roll the dough into a rectangle about 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters thick. If the dough is hard to roll out, then wrap in plastic and rest in the fridge for about 15 minutes. We're on to secret number 2, how to roll our dough. Make sure we turn the dough 90 degrees. As gluten forms, it creates long strands, and rather than having strands run in the same direction, we rotate the dough and encourage strands to form in the opposite and perpendicular directions. The result is a net-like pattern that strengthens our pastry. We've made it to secret number 3. Folding is a technique that produces those incredible layers of flakiness. Once our dough is rolled out, place half of the grated butter on 2/3 of the rectangle, and then fold the other third over, making a neat layer of dough. Butter, dough, and so on. If the dough is still cold, we can quickly do our second turn by rotating the dough 90 degrees and rolling into another rectangle and repeating the process by encasing our remaining grated butter. Pinch the edges closed, sealing in the butter. Now wrap dough in plastic and let rest in the fridge for 30 minutes. Chill our counter again while we're resting our dough. For the last turn, roll out the dough on a floured counter into a rectangle. And fold 2 flaps that meet in the middle and then fold along the middle seam. Our dough will resemble a book. Now wrap dough in plastic and let rest in the fridge for 30 minutes. Chill our counter again while we're resting our dough. Now let's turn our cold rolled and folded pastry into a savory, delicious tarte tatin. Roll our dough into a square large enough to cut out a 9-inch or like 23 centimeter circle. Puff pastry is a laminated dough with micro layers of butter between folded and rolled layers of dough. Think of a croissant, but thinner. The flakiness relies on distinct layers of butter or fat that does not get absorbed into the dough. During baking, the thin sheets of butter melt, leaving behind a void. Moisture releases from the heating dough and converts into steam and further expands the layers. This is a physical type of leavening used in baking, and if the butter is not distributed evenly or dough is too warm, the leavening may fail. Place the dough on a parchment-lined baking sheet, cover with plastic, and chill till needed. Preheat oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius. Cut the shallots in half and expose those gorgeous rings. Finely chop some thyme. In a 10-inch or 25-centimeter round cast iron skillet, heat olive oil and add our shallots. Gently move shallots around without them falling apart. Cook on medium-high heat for 5 minutes until they begin to color. Add sugar, honey, sherry vinegar, water, and salt to our skillet and cook, gently stirring for about 8 minutes. Turn off the flame and add an ounce of butter and thyme. Gently stir. Reorient the shallots with all the cut ends facing down. Let the pan cool for a few minutes before laying on the pastry. Cut vents in the chilled pastry round and place over the shallots, gently tucking the edges inside the skillet. Bake in the preheated oven for about 30 to 35 minutes until the pastry is golden brown and crispy. Remove from the oven and allow 5 minutes for cooling before inverting onto a serving plate. Okay, this part makes me nervous every time. Ugh, don't be discouraged if a few shallots are still stuck to the skillet. You can add some goat cheese, brie, or figs to this finished tart. Pair with a pork tenderloin or a green salad. The taste is heavenly when served warm, but even served at room temperature, the tarte tatin can be the centerpiece of any picnic. What we just mastered with puff pastry also works with sweets. Click on the sweets playlist or savory playlist to discover additional ways to use your pastry. Please like and subscribe, and I'll keep making more. Also, add any questions, requests, or suggestions in the comments.
You baked it yourself?
I did.